Hey, it's Ron from Radio Ads Direct, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to place an order for the first time through the Radio Ads Direct platform. In our last video, we talked about how to manage your audio recordings. And once you have audio recordings that have been approved in your account, that means that you can actually schedule a campaign for the first time on your favorite radio station. Now, before I get into that, I want to talk about a couple of things that are really helpful to look at in the dashboard of the website. These are things that are going to help you effectively place your campaign on the radio. And one of the first things that you're really going to want to do is determine what station or stations you want to run your ad campaign on. Now, chances are you heard about Radio Ads Direct from your favorite radio station already, so you may already know this, but there is a tab on the left-hand side for stations. And if you click on this, it's going to give you information about every one of the radio stations represented in the Radio Ads Direct platform. And there's a lot of helpful information here. For each one of these radio stations, it's going to tell you what the coverage area is. This is kind of the general market or city that the station is in and the general area that it serves. Below that, it will tell you the audience of that radio station. So if this is a station that appeals to adults aged 35 to 64, it will tell you that. Or you may want to go for adults aged 55 and older, or men 25 to 54. These are demographic information points that will help you fine-tune your buy so that you're reaching the audience that you want to reach. It's also helpful to take a look at the coverage map of stations because in some larger markets, some stations only cover part of the market. So you want to make sure that you're reaching the area geographically that's going to benefit your business the most. If we take a look at this radio station, you hit View Coverage Map, and it's going to show you a map showing the general area the station serves. The smallest circle is kind of the strongest signal strength, and it goes out from there. As you can see, this radio station covers part of Knoxville with its strongest signal, and the rest of the market with a slightly weaker signal. But if you're looking to advertise in Maryville, for example, this could be a really good choice because it is very much in the heart of where the signal strength is the strongest. You can look at the signal strength maps for any of these radio stations and also see some other information about the format that the station covers, the frequency that it broadcasts on, the station logo, and a whole lot more. So I highly recommend checking out the Stations tab before you go to place an order so you know which station will suit your campaign the best. Now, if we go back to the home page and our dashboard here, and we scroll down to our recent recordings, we see that we have 3 different recordings that are ready to air that we could potentially place on any of the stations we'd like. So to start an order, we simply hit Create Order. But you might be wondering, what about the My Offers section? As you can see, it says we have one offer available. And I highly encourage you to check this anytime you go into the site because new offers are available on a regular basis, and these offers could drastically change the price of your final order through the system. There could be a great discount offered here. So let's take a look and look at the My Offers section. And as you can see, there's a demo promo code here for Atomic 106, one of the radio stations, for 20% off your first order. So I could actually hit Use This Now and apply this. But for now, I'm just going to keep this in mind because I want to walk you through the normal process of creating an order without going through this. But just know that you could click on this and it would take you directly to the section that we're going to go to in just a minute. The promo code here is the word demo. So I'm just going to remember that, and we'll end up using this a little bit later on in the process. So to create an order, we're simply going to hit the Create Order button, which exists in multiple places. You can choose any one that you'd like here. And this takes us to the Create Campaign page. Now, this is a multi-step selection process, but it's pretty straightforward. I'm going to walk you through it right now. Section 1 is going to pick our station, the recording, and the station rate. So the first thing we pick here is the station we want to be on. And I'm going to choose Atomic 106 because I saw that we had that demo promo code, and I want to use that at the end. If you came to this page by clicking on the actual offer itself, it would have defaulted this to the station that it applies to. But since I'm doing this manually, I chose it myself. The next thing to do is choose the recording that you want to air. Now, we have 2 different ads that are valid for Atomic 106. The first one is a sample commercial, which was a 30-second commercial. And the second one was the ad-lib commercial that I recorded here in the browser. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the ad-lib one, because I was pretty pleased with that. Once you've chosen that, then you have another drop-down that comes up for station rate. Now this is essentially a way of selecting the time of day that you want your ad to run. And generally speaking, the more broad that time range is, the cheaper the rate will be because you're not guaranteed to have one of the more peak times. Traditionally in radio, things that are during drive times, when people are in the car most often, have the highest rate because they're going to get the most amount of listeners in general terms. That's why the rate's a little bit higher when you specify those times. If you're willing to accept your ad airing over a wider range of time, like let's say 6 a to 7 p.m., which is over the course of the entire day, the rate could be a little bit better. Or worse, depending on the situation. Everything that we're putting in here for demonstration purposes are not real rates, so please keep that in mind. But I'm going to go ahead and choose this afternoon drive rate because this looks like a very good price for a very specific time range. It comes out to $7.15 an ad. So I'm going to pick that, and then I need to pick when I want my ad to run. So when we click on this drop down here, it's going to give us a little calendar, and we're going to pick the start date and end date of when we want our campaign to start and end. So we're looking at June right now, and I'd like this ad to start, I think, June 1st. So we'll pick June 1st, and let's make this a 2-week campaign. So I want to run this June 1st through June 12th. Now I do need to say here that obviously the duration of your campaign is going to depend on your goal and what you're trying to achieve. If you are trying to promote a special event, a shorter campaign, obviously running prior to that event makes a lot of sense. If you're trying for general awareness, you're going to want to go for a longer period of time. We recommend 3 months minimum to really get your message out there and saturated with the audience of the station that you're choosing. But again, this depends on your goal, and for our demonstration purposes today, we're going to use a 2-week campaign, June 1st through June 12th. And then finally, we have our scheduling goal. And there are 2 options here that you can see. One of them is the target quantity, or number of ads, and the other is target impressions. If you're just looking for a total of the number of ads that you want to run over the course of your campaign, you can just slide the slider across to get as many as you are looking for. You can see that it does tell you the maximum available. This is using the time range and, of course, the start and end dates that you've already picked. So this is telling you how many you could potentially run total. And if we slide this all the way to the right, you can see that 32 is the maximum we can do using these parameters. As you slide this across, it's going to give you an estimated campaign cost. And this is, of course, a real-time estimate. This is not necessarily perfect. It usually is for target quantity, but as we'll see in a moment with target impressions, there could be a little bit of leeway there, but it gives you a pretty good idea of what this is going to cost. In this case, $228.88 for 32 ads. Now, that's just one way of looking at it. If I don't really care about the number of ads, but I'd rather look at how many different times someone hears the message of the ad, I could look at this from the perspective of target impressions. Every impression is when one person hears the message of your ad one time. And with target impressions, you can actually figure out how many of those you would like to get in the course of your campaign. This also gives you a maximum value, and given the parameters that we have, the maximum we could do is about 20,800 impressions. Let's say that I want to do about half of that. I'd like to get my message heard 10,000 times. So we'll slide this across to 10,000. It's giving me an estimated campaign cost of $110. And again, this is a real-time estimate, but that sounds pretty reasonable to me. So let's go ahead and give this a try for 10,000 impressions using my ad-lib ad campaign we did in an earlier video. I'm going to hit Preview Campaign. What this is going to do is it's going to give us the real cost in total based on that actual number of impressions. So at this point, it's actually looking at the real scheduled data, when it would place those ads, and how it would get us as close as possible to our target number of impressions. As you can see, it came up with 16 total airings of the commercial, 10,400 total impressions, with a total cost of $114.40. The overall CPM is $11, and CPM means cost per mille, or cost per 1,000 impressions, and $11 is a pretty fair rate. This rate will vary depending on where you are, the station that you are broadcasting on, and a lot of other factors. There is no set rule for what CPM should be in the radio industry, but this gives you an idea of what you're paying for every 1,000 impressions that you're receiving as part of your ad campaign. You're also going to get some campaign details here just to confirm, what station it is, what time range it is, the days of the week that it's going to be airing, the spot length, the date range of everything that's running. And then below that, you're going to get an actual preview of the first 10 ads that would run. These give you real targeted times of when those ads are going to run at the beginning of the campaign. So you can kind of get an idea that on the first day, your ad will be heard at 3:17 p.m., 6:17 p.m., and then the following day, 5:17, 4:17. We picked a fairly narrow range of times, so these times are all going to be pretty close to one another, whereas if you picked a larger range, say 6 a to 7 p or 6 a to midnight, you would see a lot more variety in the times that each one of these ads airs during each day. But you also get an idea for the number of impressions that each one of these ads will actually achieve, because this is based on actual data from the station on when people are listening. So some helpful information here, and it gives you a pretty good idea of what you're going to be working with in the campaign. And if you're happy with everything at this point, you can simply go to Proceed to Payment, or you can go back to Builder if you want to change some of the parameters around. Maybe you want some more impressions, maybe you want to choose a different rate or a different time of day. You can do all of those things back in the Schedule Builder page before you ever proceed to payment. But in this case, I'm going to say that I'm pretty pleased with everything that I see here. I'm going to go ahead and hit Proceed to Payment. This is going to take you to the payment completion page. And as you can see, again, you're getting a summary of this order here on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, we have the info where you're going to put in your credit card information and ultimately purchase this campaign. Now, if I put in a promo code here, as we mentioned earlier, I can apply that to this order. And conveniently, the platform does tell you any available offers that you may have that already apply. So you can see that because we chose Atomic 106, this demo promo code to give us 20% off, we're going to save $22.88. We can apply here, and all I have to do is just type this in or simply click it. And clicking it will apply that promo to the order. You can see that it takes off the $22.88, which makes the total only $91.52. Over here on the right, we have all of our payment method options. You can choose a credit card. You can use Cash App, Klarna, Affirm, Amazon Pay. You can also use Link. If you have a Link account, you can log in directly through the interface here. And essentially, you can put in all of your info. You can use ACH. You can use a digital wallet. There's lots of different options for payment here. After clicking the Pay Now button, which I did not show the credit card information for obvious privacy reasons, it will take you to a payment successful screen where your campaign has been scheduled. It will now appear in My Orders. You can see that the amount paid here was the $91.52. It is paid, and we can just click on this to go directly to My Orders, and it should show up here, and it definitely does. You can actually see all the details of what we just did order-wise, and you can see the savings from the promo code, as well as the total amount of impressions and the total number of airings of the commercial that are part of this order. So if I click on this, I can actually get a little bit more drilled down details. And in this screen, instead of having a preview of the first 10 items, these are the actual scheduled commercials as part of this campaign. And you can see all of them here. You can see the times, the recording that is being played, and you can see the impressions garnered from each one of these, as well as the total cost per ad in your particular order. You can scroll all the way down. You can see all of these. There's only 16 ads in this order, but obviously you would be able to see all of them no matter how large that order might be. You'll also notice here in this section there is a box that says Yet to be Aired. This is important because as time goes on and these ads actually do air on the station of your choice, you will see this change to aired, and it will actually give you the aired time in the exact minutes and seconds that this ad actually played on the radio. It's also a great planning tool if you want to listen to the station so you can hear the airings of your commercial, which is always a fun time. You'll also notice on the main dashboard page that now you have information at the top showing the total impressions with all of your campaigns, the total cost that you've spent on advertising, and the total number of commercials aired. As you add orders, which you can add as many as you want, and you can order things on other radio stations, these numbers will obviously change. You'll also notice that in this particular case, there are no offers right now. That's because the 20% off offer was only for the first time order for my account. So I've used that now and it is not available. But as more offers become available, they will show up in this section. And again, in the recent orders section on the dashboard, you can see everything about the order we just placed, the total number of impressions, the total number of airings, and the total cost. It's a great way of managing your campaign as time goes on. And as we mentioned, it's easy to create a new order at will anytime you like. It's just that easy to do things with Radio Ads Direct. And there you have it. You've created your first order with Radio Ads Direct. Congratulations for getting your message in front of thousands of people thanks to the help of your local radio stations and this exciting new platform. I'm Ron from Radio Ads Direct, and I'm wishing you all the success in the world with Radio Ads Direct and your favorite radio stations.